we have Boston data. We connect this to summarize. And suppose I want to calculate average. This is a calculation I'm doing. It's not already available in R. So I'm naming that outcome as AVG. And what I want to store in AVG is mean of points that each player made. I also want standard deviation, SD points. Another thing I can add is count. So simply count like number of data points that go into these calculations. And for that, we use N for sample size and open close parenthesis. So in entire regular season, there were 10.3, on an average 10.3 points per player. This is the standard deviation, and this is based on 884 rows of data that we have in Boston. Let me copy and paste this. So that will save time. So summarize plus there is another function, it's called GROUP, group by. So instead of getting like this kind of summary for the entire season, we can include in between this function group by, GROUP. So let me make some room and also add this pipe. So just before summarize, I'm using this GROUP, group by. When I type, it says group under by. So that's the function I want. And we want to group by players. So the variable is called name and player, where P is uppercase. And I will send this to the next line. So instead of like just one row, now we have a row for each player. I'm going to add another pipe. I want to arrange this in descending order of this AVG that I have created here. This column AVG. So I want the maximum at the top. If we run this, Tatum scored 26.9 on an average per game. Brown 23.6 points per game. This is number of games they played, and so on. So I will use Boston data and connect this to group by. I will do this analysis again player wise. So name, player, then connect this. So this time I will use summarize and something called EFG, effective field goal percentage. There is a book, Mathletics. It's a very popular book for sports analytics. And the section or chapter on basketball basically suggests we calculate effective field goal percentage instead of just field goal percentage. The formula for this is going to be sum of FGM, field goals made, plus 0.5 times sum of field goal 3M, which is 3 pointers made. So giving like 50% credit to any 3-pointer because that's 50% more than 2 pointers. So that divided by sum of FGA, which is field goals attempted. In the next row, I can say count. I just want to know what will be the sample size. So I can say N, open, close parenthesis. So what it will do is it will use the Boston data, and each row is going to be name of the player. And for each player, it will calculate effective field goals and arrange this whole thing in descending order of this variable that we have created, EFG. So there was a player, Joe, who played only one game, had only one attempt and scored. So obviously, he comes at the top. Let me add a row here. So we can filter out. We can say only those cases where a player played more than 10 games. So then you have effective field goal percentage. In fact, in the last season, during regular season, Williams played 61 and he tops in that metric. Let's see if you can answer this using whatever we have done so far. So for the second one, you can try. I'm also trying. You have to group by player. So name player, and then we need to summarize, and we want free throws. So I will call it FT, and we want max of. So there must be a function called FTM. Let's check. FTM. So FTM is free throws made, and FTA is free throws attempted. So I will say M. So group by players and then summarize. And then I will connect this to arrange. And then within arrange, we can say DESC FT. So 400 free throws made versus 241 and 142. So these are the top 3 people. I'm going to copy this and I will just modify this. It doesn't take much time. And we want points. I will call it points. What was Tatum's average score in Boston win? So that means this group Y will not be there. It will be outcome of the game. And for points, we want average score. So mean PTS. So 28.5 is the correct answer for first one. So we'll use the same data and connect it to ggplot function. Once you have the data, then we can talk about aesthetics, AES, open close parenthesis, where we can say, what do we want on the x-axis? So histogram is a univariate plot. It needs one numeric variable. I can say x equals one of the variables or the columns where it is basically numbers. So one important variable in these games is plus minus for each player. So whenever a player is on court, how many points are scored? Plus number means that whenever they are on the court, the team is scoring more points with that player. To add another layer to specify, I have not so far told that this is a histogram. So how do I say histogram? So for that, I add a layer. To add a layer, we use plus sign in ggplot. We have started with ggplot, and each layer we can add using plus sign. No pipes after ggplot2. So for geometry, we say GEOM underscore H for histogram. So this second one. Now I'm going to copy this and include some more features and make this plot more meaningful. So X equals plus minus. With that, we'll use some colors. We'll fill some colors using fill outcome game. So I want to color these blocks in terms of wins and losses. You get this kind of pattern. We can add a layer. So FACET, when you type that, there's option for facet underscore wrap. So use a tilde sign, this curly sign under escape button, and simply say outcome game. G uppercase. Basically, it separates the histograms. So you can clearly see when Celtics was like all the games they were losing, plus minus is more towards the left side. More than 50% of the times, the players were not contributing in a positive way. But in the wins, you can see mostly it is towards the right. So players were contributing positively to the win. Now this can be customized in so many ways. Within the histogram, I can say alpha equals maybe 0.5, which is basically like how transparent these bar colors are. 50% means you can see even what is behind a little bit. For the histogram, we can also say color equals black. So the boundaries of the bars in the histogram get black color. I will add one more layer to give a title, so GG title, we can call it player point differential in a win loss, something like that. Season 2021, 22, something like that. So it gives you a subtitle also. Another thing could be a theme. So there's a theme called theme underscore BW. I'm going to select that. You'll see it's slightly different format, more cleaner look. So if you copy the entire copy paste, instead of facet wrap, I'm going to say facet grid. It allows us to supply variables VARS. Suppose we want one of the variables to be outcome game. So whether it is a win or loss, and then put a comma and another variable location game, which means whether it was a home game or away game. A is for away and H is for home games. The performance of players per game in the win or loss versus home and away. So all those things can be captured using facet grid.